KZ fam, back with the second video of the day. Now, we're going to be checking out the Cyberpunk anime is actually incredible by Gigguk. Now, a lot of people have been telling me that this anime right here is insane. So, we're going to check this video out, hopefully learn more about this anime. And yeah, man, thank you guys so much for all the support. I love y'all so damn much. If you're new to the channel, you enjoy the content, make sure to hit that sub button, hit those likes, and turn on noti bells so you can get notified whenever I drop a video. We almost at 3K. KZ fam. Let's get it. Oh.
Where the fuck did this come from?
Seeing the explosion of anime in the past 10 years was bloody exciting if you were an anime fan before. Suddenly, this niche little medium you loved was starting to get noticed by a wider audience, and that was a good thing, because this must have meant so many more great anime that would have never been made before might just be on the horizon. The small, fan-run companies we followed got an injection of money they needed. Big players were starting to get into the game. There was so much potential for cool projects, so much promise of the medium being taken to the next level. It was hectic, it was exciting, the possibilities seemed endless, and what did we get?
We've been preparing our whole lives for this day.
One thing we did get was more anime, but that didn't necessarily mean that was more great anime. The shows you wanted to watch were split across a million different streaming platforms, and some of the shows you were excited for had all their possible hype killed when the wrong platform picked it up. This wasn't on the fine print of the expectations we had, but every so often there comes along a project that makes me remember, alright, maybe anime getting worldwide recognition wasn't such a bad thing after all.
That's actually very true, bro. Out of all the animes that come out, there's actually very few that actually get hella popular.
Cyberpunk Edge Runners might be one of the most exciting collaborative projects I've seen in years. Coming from Studio Trigger and CD's Nuts Project Red, this was the type of project we were waiting for. Following their very successful launch of Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red obviously saw potential for more stories to take place in the world they had crafted, and in the process might have accidentally made one of the best things to come out all year. Continuing this unexpected but wonderful trend of animated video game adaptations slapping harder than an Asian parent who'd just been given a bad report card. That's right, guys. I'm a real gamer. Not because I play them, but because I watch them. Which is the perfect time to talk about today's sponsor, Honkai Impact 3rd.
Okay, buddy. Of course, bro. Of course. Okay, I think this is where it stops.
And now, back to Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk Edge Runners is a canon side story in the Cyberpunk 2077 universe, taking place in the future, in the dark, gritty, violent dystopia nightmare called the United States of America. I mean, Night City. David is a kid just trying to survive in the city, attending a prestigious school being supported by his mum despite her struggling income. But after getting into a massive car accident, David comes to find his mother has passed away because she couldn't afford proper healthcare. Wait a minute, guys, that was a joke. That was a fucking joke. You weren't meant to take that seriously. From there on, he has to resort to a life of crime, meeting Lucy, a skilled cyber hacker, and her fellow gang members. He joins their crew, taking on missions so they can survive together in the underbelly of Night City. Alright, guys, I've got a confession to make. I am not actually a gamer. I lied before. I don't play video games.
Think you can get away?
Shut up. I hadn't played Cyberpunk 2077 yet, and my only prior knowledge about it was that the game was
I never played that game either.
little buggy. So I went into this completely blind, and while I'm sure I missed some Easter eggs here and there, it did not ruin my enjoyment at all. The world of Night City is stunningly brought to life under Trigger's eyes. Neon lights illuminate the concrete jungle with a fluorescent color palette, so you can smell the stench.
No wonder I recognize the anime name Cyberpunk. I remember that this huge game named Cyberpunk came out, but I heard that it was very buggy and shit, and so this is what it's based off of, the
stale piss reeking from the back alleys. Every random passerby feels like they have a story to tell. I think people forgot that beyond the glitches and T-posing, CD Projekt Red actually crafted a truly vibrant world with so much potential for interesting stories to take place. Edge Runners might not have Keanu Reeves, but it does have this guy.
I do not pay you to think. I pay you to check the boxes off my list.
Wait a minute. Is that my man Gus from Breaking Bad?
But you can call me Sus.
The first thing anyone will probably notice is Studio Trigger's footprint stamped all over the show. You know, as much as I like Trigger, recently when I saw their name attached to a project, especially if it was being led by this man, Hiroyuki Imaishi, I was starting to think I was watching a one-trick pony. I remember the first time I saw Gurren Lagann, I was blown away by the sheer absurd over-the-top hype contained in it. Then I saw Kill la Kill, and I was slightly less blown away by the sheer absurd over-the-top hype contained in it. Then I saw Promare, and I was puffed away by the sheer absurd over-the-top hype contained in it. And then I saw they were doing an episode of Star Wars Vision, and I was like, is there going to be some sheer absurd over-the-top hype contained in this? Yep. There it is. Now, did Edge Runners have some sheer, absurd, over-the-top hype contained in it? Yes. But it was actually kind of muted in comparison to all that other stuff. I mean, this may look ridiculous to you, but this is just a standard driving experience in India. There are still flashes of that classic balls-to-the-wall trigger hype, but I feel like they had to restrain themselves a bit more than usual due to this being a canon story in a pre-existing universe. But because of this, they needed to find more creative ways to up the ante aside from going into space. Going into space. Going into space, or my personal favorite, going into space. And I feel like by restricting them, you got to see
Damn, they made Gurren Lagann and fucking Kill la Kill
a whole new side shine through. Oh, for fuck's sake. This, in my opinion, is one of their best looking shows to date. The gunplay on display is absolutely insane. David has this special ability to go bullet time, creating an army of after images for every movement he makes, which melts my mind every time I see it. But most notably, this is the first time I've seen them tackle an old school hyper-violent show, and you could tell they had so much fun breaking all the shackles that usually limit them. Bodies get blown apart in an explosion of bright red blood, intestines go flying out, bits of skull and eyeballs rain down with every shotgun blast. Seeing this type of hyper-violence being done with the Trigger flare was a brutally beautiful sight I didn't know I needed until now. Trigger were already the masters of giving their shows a unique visual identity, but I feel like even here, everything was polished and sharpened to a level even further beyond. I remember the first time I booted up Persona 5, I was enamored by just how much work must have been put into its aesthetics. The striking color palettes, the battle animations, the text messages, even the individual menus, everything down to the smallest details seemed to be meticulously crafted to fit this visual style. It was just so fucking cool, and this is the exact same feeling I get when watching Edge Runners. Every frame is oozing with a visual flair most shows could only dream of achieving. There were some scenes with so much going on, it felt like my brain couldn't process all the stimuli it was receiving. This wasn't the rule of
Wait. Is the show called Cyberpunk or is it called Edge Runners?
Of fucking cool, and it was so refreshing seeing this team's insane creativity being pushed to a level I hadn't seen before. Then we got the soundtrack. You know how in most anime you got your normal background music, then during the season finale or some shit, it'll hit you with a special insert song they've saved up just for this moment, and it's beautiful. It elevates the moment and it kind of feels like it turns the scene into a narrative music video. Yep, Cyberpunk has that for like every episode. This OC is just overflowing with such fantastic tracks that at some point I feel like they had too many to work with. There'd be a throwaway scene of just two characters talking and I'd be like,
Only gonks talk down to others.
Hey, shut up for a second. Can we turn this music up? The song's kind of a banger.
From synthwave to metal to electro to fucking reggae, so many scenes felt like I was watching a stylistic music video. It was like I was watching Fooly Cooly all over again. And then there's the writing.
So you guys are cyberpunks, aren't you?
Oh, they're mobbing! He's going full mob! Out of everything, this is probably the least strongest aspect, but I'm only saying that because everything else was absolutely stellar. Sure, there were some awkward pieces of dialogue here and there.
I'm built different.
Bro, I'm a different breed. Of what, a chinchilla?
But honestly, everything was solid and did what it needed to do. I've seen a few complaints saying that there wasn't enough runtime and it kind of felt rushed, but I didn't get that feeling at all. To me, it didn't feel rushed, it just felt dense. This is 10 episodes, packed to the absolute brim. From start to finish, the series rarely gives you a chance to catch your breath. Shit's constantly going down, situations are always evolving, and while it would have been nice to have an extra episode or two with a bit of downtime here and there, never once did it feel like a major story beat wasn't earned. And yet, even through everything, they still found time to make a standout episode. Episode 6 might be one of the best episodes of anime I've seen in years. From the opening second, something feels off. The air feels heavy. You find yourself being on edge. Everything is draped in an air of unease and you can't put your finger on exactly why, like you're standing in the eye of an unseen storm. And what follows is a 20-minute psychedelic trip down into insanity that simply left me speechless by the end. It was an absolute masterclass of direction and cinema, and it's episodes like this that reminds me why the medium of animation is so fucking incredible. Even with a shorter episode count, it didn't affect how invested I was in everything. It's been a while since I've seen an ensemble that left such a big impression on me so quickly. Everyone feels memorable without feeling like they're just a walking trope. From looks to personality to attitude, each character is totally distinct from one another and have this group chemistry that's infectious. Maine walks in as the charismatic father figure of the group, David's that eager younger brother. Rebecca was one of the more minor characters, and yet with just a few scenes, she was able to leave a stronger impression than most characters do with hours of screen time.
Oh, David, my man,
man? What's going on?
It's series like this that shows you don't need hours of backstory to get attached or like a character. Everyone felt like they were a part of this dysfunctional family and there would be a gaping hole without them there, and you get just as emotional when some of the major events happen. Watching this reminded me of the feeling I got when watching Cowboy Bebop. I didn't need Spike, Faye or Jet's backstory to get attached to this crew. I already was way before their respective episodes, because it was just a pleasure to spend time with all of them. You never wanted their journey to end, but you knew it had to eventually, and when it does, you're left with this bittersweet feeling of emptiness, knowing that you've had to say goodbye to your time with them.
You're the guy who jumps into the fire to rescue someone. Anyone. Even when you know you're gonna get burned.
Cyberpunk Edge Runners is an example of what happens when you give a team gone mad with creativity the resources to do what they want to do. This is what it's like watching a show where every single person working on a project gives a shit. You can feel the love and excitement emanating from every...
That's crazy, bro. I might have to give this a try, you know what I'm saying? Obviously I still have loads of fucking anime to watch.
Every single second of this runtime, because absolutely no one half-arsed it. Everyone brought their A game, not a single person phoned it in. It's as much a passion project as it is a promotional piece for a gaming franchise everyone had already written off. This was a project we were promised when anime started to get more recognition globally. The prospect of some of the most talented names in the niche medium of anime we followed getting to go wild with some of the biggest names and franchises from a totally different medium was meant to give us more shows like this. And I hope that this isn't just the exception, but the standard for future collaborative anime projects to come. Bravo, guys.
Nice.
So what do you
Not a single T-pose, 0 out of 10 worst adaptation of all time.
Not a single T-pose. Okay. Nah, this is fire, bro. Anyways, y'all, that was the Cyberpunk anime. It's actually incredible. What the fuck is, bro? What is wrong with, whatever, bro. By Gigguk. I hope y'all enjoyed it. KZ fam, stay positive, stay healthy, and most definitely keep that strong mentality, man. Out.